guys, the pears are coming into harvest and we have bucket loads of pears. So today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know to can pears or preserve them in a couple of different ways actually. The first thing you need to know is that European pears, or what people typically call canning pears, are different from Asian pears, or some people call them eating pears. These are softer, they're really sweet, they're great. You can just eat them right off the tree. I love them. They're my favorite. But if you want a can, these are better. The reason is these are higher in acidity. So you can water bath these. You don't have to pressure can them. They're also firmer and will hold up better canning. If you can Asian pears, you have to can them in a pressure canner because they're a low acid food. And they're already soft, so they're gonna get pretty mushy. So what I typically do is I water bath European pears, and Asian pears I save for making fruit leather. For example, with my spring berries, berries don't have much substance, but they have a lot of flavor. So I'll make a pear sauce, kind of like an applesauce with this, and I will mix the berry juice with it and then make a fruit leather. I have a video for that. I'll show you how to do that. It's an older video, but it'll tell you how to do it. I also make pear butter with these, and it's delicious. It's great for spreading on toast or using in tarts and pies. So there are good uses for these. I saved these for those uses. You're gonna cook it down, it doesn't matter that it's soft. So pear butter, fruit roll-ups, fruit leather, things like that. Canning to put up so that you can take it out later to make pear pies or to serve as canned pears. You wanna use these. So the first thing we're gonna need to do is cut up our pears, get the seeds out, the core out, take the peelings off. If you want to keep them from turning brown, you're going to need to put some lemon juice on them or some ascorbic acid. The brown does nothing to them, it's just aesthetics. So if it bothers you, you can do that. I really don't care because I know it's still good and I'm going to eat it, and it doesn't matter to me if they get a little brown. There's two different ways you can these pears. You can put them hot packed or you can raw pack. The best way to do it is to hot pack because it'll help it to hold its texture better. It'll end up being a little mushy if you try to raw pack it. So while it can be done, I don't advise to do it. You're going to want to raw hot pack it, which is what I'm going to show you how to do today. You're also going to need to put it in some form of liquid. You can do this in straight water if you don't want to add any sugar to your pears. Problem with that is though, pears have a mild flavor and it's going to all leach out into the water. So if you use just water, they're going to be pretty bland and kind of pointless. You know, they're going to make you sad when you open it up. So I don't recommend that you do that either. You're going to need to put it in some form of syrup. There's 3 different ways you can do that, and I'll give you the recipe for each so you can choose the one that you want. The most common and the easiest is going to be to make a sugar brine. And so this would be the recipe for making the sugar brine. The second way, if you don't want to use processed sugar, you can make a honey brine. And it's basically the same thing, but you're going to use honey, and this is the recipe for that. And then the next way to do it is to pack it in juice. Apple juice is a good substitute because it's very close to pear and it's sweet. You can also pack it in white grape juice, which would taste well as well, but that will slightly alter the pear flavor that you get. So again, the easiest, most inexpensive, and most common way to do it is going to be the sugar packing. Me personally, I would probably do honey packing probably more because we have our own bees, so honey is accessible, but for most people that would just be really expensive. So I'm going to show you the one that most people are going to want to know how to do. Today we're going to do sugar hot packing pears. And then when you're cutting, you want them to not have any bad spots. You're going to cut that off. If the pear is too soft, put it aside and just save it for your pear sauce. Because if it's already mushy now, once you boil it and seal it, it's going to get way too mushy. So you want some that are ripe, that are nice, but that are not squishy. So bad spots come off. If the rest is okay, you can use it. But if it's too soft, just save it for pear sauce. And I'll have a video here where I can show you how we make the pear sauce also. All right, to show you how to cut these up, I'll just take the top off Very thinly take the bottom off. This is going to be rabbit and chicken treats, and they are going to love it. Paring knife. You want to peel it. Once it's peeled, I take it and I cut it straight down the middle into fours. Then I take it with my paring knife and I get that core out by coming right down the middle, and then down here you're going to want to go a little bit deeper, and that's going to leave you with a piece like this that's peeled and cored. And that's what we're going to be putting into our jars. And none of this other stuff will be wasted because it's going to go to the livestock. If you don't have livestock, you can compost it. All right, now that our pears are cut and rinsed, I rinsed them after I cut them, we need to make our syrup. So we're going to use a quart of water and 3 cups of sugar. Some people like to put about a teaspoon's worth of vanilla extract into their syrup, and it does really give the pears a really good flavor. It helps to intensify the flavor. So I like it, but that's optional. You don't have to do it. Once it comes up to a good boil, you can reduce the heat down to a simmer and go ahead and add your pears and let them simmer for 5 minutes in the syrup. All right, it's been 5 minutes, so now we're going to put them into our jars. They will have let some of their juices out into the syrup. I keep wanting to say brine. Brine is for salty, syrup is for sweet. Into the syrup, so you're going to seem like you have more syrup, but that's okay because you're going to need it to cover your jars. They're also going to pack a little easier now that they're just a little bit cooked. So we're going to get them into our jars. We're going to fill all the jars first with the pears, and then we'll come back and spread the juice out evenly over them. So another tip, my grandmother used to always do some pears like this, but she would add the little pink cherries that you buy in the jar and a little bit of the juice to it, so her pears would be a pretty pink and it would give it a nice little flavor, a little different flavor. You can do that too. You can add whatever you want. This is just basic pears. All right, shifting things around a little so you can see a little better. We've got all of our jars, our 7-quart jars, filled up. And so now I'm going to go back and I'm going to take that same sweet brine, sweet juice, and I'm going to come back, sweet syrup. I don't know why I keep wanting to say brine. Brine is salty. Sweet syrup. And I'm going to cover each one. And you want to leave about a ½ inch of headspace. Now, if you get concerned that you may not have enough syrup to go around all your jars, what you can do is just evenly put the same amount in each jar, and whatever you have room left, just put some hot water to fill the rest up. So if you're not sure you're going to have enough to go all the way, let's say we're going to just put 2 ladlefuls in each jar to make sure, and then we can come around and add until each one has an equal amount of syrup. And in that way, if we run a little short, we can add a little hot water to each jar until we get to our ½ inch headspace. And no worries, they'll all have the same amount of sweetness and flavor in each one. Once we have all our jars filled up, we're going to want to make sure our rims are clean. Make sure none of that sticky syrup is on there. You can use warm water or vinegar if you want on a paper towel or clean dish rag. Once everything is cleaned up really good, put your lids on finger tight. Don't over crank it. Just get them on there. Now we're ready to process them. You can pressure can them, but again, pears are delicate, and so you don't want to do anything that's going to make them more mushy. So the better option for pears is going to be to water bath, and you can do it, and water bath is easier, so just do water bath. You can use a water bath canner, but you don't need a special canner for water bathing. Any large pot that's large enough to get the water up to the top of the lid will suffice. I'm going to use my pressure canner without the lid just because it's a big pot and it'll work, and I want to do 7 quarts and that's what it'll hold. But any large pot that has a, you know, a bottom, if the bottom is thick on the pot, you can put your jars right in. If the bottom is thin, you're going to want to put a dish towel or something under your jars to kind of protect them from the direct heat. Or if you have a water bath canner or a pressure canner, it's going to have the little rack in the bottom. So for water bathing, some people fill the water just up to the lid. Some people fill it above. Most people fill it above. We're going to go above. It works either way, but we're going to go above, and we have to wait for this to come up to a rolling boil. So there you go, a good rolling boil. And then you want 20 minutes for pints, 25 for quarts. All right, 25 minutes is up, and we're gonna take them out. Obviously, boiling water, hot lids, all that jazz. Be careful. Try not to tilt them, and you're gonna put them on something that won't burn your cabinet, and you're gonna let them sit undisturbed. So there we go, our pears are canned. We're gonna have to let them sit for about 24 hours to cool undisturbed. We're gonna check the seals, make sure everything is sealed after the 24 hours, remove our rims, and put them on the shelf, mark what they are. The reason we take the rims off and put them on the shelf is because in case a seal loses its seal and air gets in and the jar goes bad, over time, if the rim is on tight, it'll explode the jar. But if it goes bad with the rim off, it'll just pop your lid off and you'll know that it's bad and you'll throw it away. Mine are caramel colored because, first of all, I used raw sugar, I used vanilla extract, and I didn't use a lemon juice or citric acid wash on my pears when I did them, because I don't really care about the look and I think they're pretty regardless. But if you care and you want them to be clear and white, then you're going to want to use white sugar. You're going to want to not put the vanilla extract, and you're going to want to rinse your pears in a lemon juice water solution or citric acid as soon as you cut them, and then they'll be white and pearly and pretty and all of that. But if you just care about flavor and practicality like me, you can do it this way. It's easy and it's delicious. So there you go. That's how you can your pears to preserve them on the shelf for years to come.